Many of us at one point or another absolutely loved the MCU. The Iron Mans, the Captain Americas, the Thors were all so fantastic at the start, but unfortunately, of course, the MCU has definitely fallen off of a cliff over the past few years, and while I would love it if they turned it around, it doesn't seem like that's going to be happening anytime soon, but now we are finding out that they have completely shifted their upcoming release schedule with Deadpool 3, Thunderbolts, Captain America 4, and Blade. Plus, we're hearing that Captain America 4 is getting massive reshoots because it is a complete disaster. I have a few different things that I want to show off, but before we get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, follow me on social media, and consider supporting through Patreon or via YouTube memberships. Now, of course, the most notable release of the MCU has been The Marvels. Truly terrible experience that looks like it's going to lose them a gigantic sum of money, but they, of course, have many other projects in the works, and it looks like all of those are facing issues now because this is a Cosmic Book News article. It says new MCU release dates, Deadpool 3, Thunderbolts, Captain America 4, Blade. Now, I personally am pretty hopeful for Blade. While, yes, there has been a lot of concerning news surrounding it, that originally there was a script that was very female-centric and Blade had been pushed to the side. First of all, why was that even a script at all? Like, why did anyone even create that? But we had heard a little bit of good news that that is not happening, that was a very old script. They have completely scrapped that since then. So I'm still hopeful for it. In Deadpool 3, of course, Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman, I think it's going to be an awesome team up and an awesome film. But that does not mean I still expect it to be amazing at this point. I know better than to go, oh my God, a new MCU movie. This is going to be so great. Simply because we've seen so many failures and disappointments. But it says, with the strike over, Marvel Studios has announced new and updated release dates for Deadpool 3, Thunderbolts, Captain America, and Blade. Deadpool 3 moves from 5/3/24 to 7/26/24. Thunderbolts moves from 12/20/24 to 7/25/25. Captain America Brave New World moves from 7/26/24 to 2/14/25. And Blade moves from 2/14/25 to 11/7/25. So these are not just like a month or two. These are several months for each of these projects. And of course, we knew that these strikes were most likely going to affect movies like this. But it's not just the strikes, okay? It's also that they could have had people back out of these projects. They may decide to go in a new direction. I mean, there are only so many losses that they can rack up before they eventually have to say enough is enough. We need to really rethink our strategy. That's personally what I think they did with Blade. I think they know how beloved Blade is, how they really need to get this film right, and they ultimately decided we need to pull out all the stops. We know that it's rated R, that it's had several scripts, and now the scripts sound a lot more positive, and we're even hearing that these projects are not going well. Like Captain America 4, we now know that it is getting massive reshoots because it's allegedly a complete disaster. Now, this is a movie I am not very excited for. The days of Captain America, in my opinion, are over. I just don't like the new direction that they are taking Captain America in. I did not like the Disney Plus TV series. I'm not excited for this movie at all. If you're excited, that's awesome, but there's just not a lot here, and it's really no surprise to hear that it's a disaster because we know they have struggled with Anthony Mackie's new version of Captain America. People have been very critical of it so far, and while he is not a bad actor by any means, he just is no Chris Evans. He's just not the Captain America that we all know and love and ultimately would want back. It says we have answers as to why Captain America Brave New World has been pushed back by several months instead of getting moved up and taking the place of the Deadpool 3 release date. Recall how it was recently reported that Deadpool 3 would be delayed to the summer and that it was claimed that New World was further ahead in terms of production and completion, so the flick could swap from the summer release to Deadpool Deadpool 3's original May release. However, following the end of the strikes, Marvel has confirmed the new release date, which did see Deadpool 3 pushed to summer, but Brave New World release was actually pushed back several months to 2025. So what happens? Well, apparently Kevin Feige is even having more problems with the MCU. The MCU is in a state of disaster right now, okay? They have so many years of content planned and years of content that nobody is really looking forward to. I think, like every company, they need to take a few months, they need to really hone in on what people want, and they need to rethink their strategies. Now, of course, they're not going to do that because they want to make money, and it takes years to create a project, so they need to greenlight something now, so in a couple years it'll be ready. But I truly think that they need to calm down, they need to slow down when it comes to projects, and they need to rethink their strategy. The message isn't working. The super high budgets and expecting people to just shell out money over nostalgia isn't working. Replacing our favorite actors with these brand new, like, modern versions of them and these new characters. Like, let's look at Iron Man versus Ironheart. Nobody cares about Ironheart. That isn't working. They truly need to rethink their strategy. It says, though, Jeff Snyder via the Hot Mic offers Brave New World received negative test scores and didn't do well in the test screenings. We also heard the same thing about the Marvels, that they tested it several times and none of them worked. So the final cut of the movie that just released was kind of a last-ditch effort on their part, that they had altered it very heavily compared to what it originally was, and even that was a nightmare. Then again, I don't really think that anything could have saved the Marvels movie, but he also says that 3 major sequences will be cut and reshoots will happen. Now, reshoots are not some, like, crazy thing that almost never happened. Reshoots are very common when it comes to movies like this, especially ones that have such high budgets, because they do try to film things in different ways so that they, you know, can hopefully sell it a little bit better. But it's the wording here that is very specific that matters. We have the number 3. We have major sequences that will be cut and reshoots that will happen. It truly just sounds like this is a nightmare project, and many of these movies are probably going to face other delays because while, yes, the strikes are now all over, they need to get things kicked into high gear. They need to reevaluate their plan. If anything may be changed, if anyone came up with any ideas that will need to be implemented. But it just seems like the MCU is in a state of disaster right now. It is in crisis mode. And I can't say that I'm all that surprised or even that I'm sad, because there was a time where this would be like devastating news to me. I would be sitting here like tearing up like, oh my God, the MCU, it's dying. But now it's kind of funny because they haven't listened to us for so many years at this point. There's really no sympathy in my heart that I hold for Kevin Feige or anyone behind these projects. I obviously want them to do better, but I just don't think that that is going to happen. And now we have several new MCU release dates, and it is just not looking good for the MCU in totality. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this, make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.